everybody.
Definitely not what we want.
Definitely not what we want.
Welcome to Beerfield, where most of the time our equipment lasts longer than some people's NFL careers. Did you hear that?
That was me.
Yeah, that was you, wasn't it?
Always. It's always got to be me.
Always
I got to be that guy.
You are that guy. Chris Hopper, social media manager Ryan Miner, at Dan Thury with you. At Beerfield Hop, at Beerfield Thury, at Ryan Miner _ FFP. At social media is at Beerfield, which is a lot more active these days.
It is. It feels weird. It's like, did someone hack our account?
I feel like I hacked the account because I'm like giving myself credit and then liking my own stuff. I'm like, well, this is weird.
Well, that's just weird.
Right?
Yeah, that's
I kind of
just
stopped.
self-absorbed. You don't gotta
Okay,
stop. Just actually, no, you're good. Just don't forget what account you're on because that gets awkward.
Oh, yeah, I did that too.
That
I was
really
I was
gets
typing
awkward.
something. I was like, oh, whoops, wrong account.
Yep, we've all been there.
But I looked like I didn't hit send.
You've all been there. Yeah, Dan, how you doing?
I'm good. I have spent 3 days in your market trying to fix. By fix, I mean by get more shit of my beer in your
Mhm.
bars and random liquor stores.
And do you know how many times I've seen him in those 3 days he's been in my market?
Nothing, because
None. But
I've been extremely busy.
I've also,
Growing.
actually, other than today, me too. So, actually, even today, me too. But good news is I got a clean bill of health, which makes me a more marketable trade prospect than Adam Shaheen. I did pass my physical, unlike him.
Yay.
I am now officially an award-winning homebrewer.
Ooh.
Say what?
I had a cream ale win its table. Didn't win a best of show or anything, but damn it, I won the table. So
Hey, it don't matter. You won something.
I'll
All
take
that
it.
matters.
That's a medal.
Take it. That's the victory.
If I was a professional, we'd market the shit out of that because everybody
That's
does. Yeah. All right. Cool. So presented by the FF Faceoff, as always. FFFaceoff.com. Even better. What's going on? Even better to go there and get all your written content, because we don't do any of that, but there are a lot of good people there that do, including Ryan. I guess I can't say we don't do any of that anymore.
I do that.
Because you definitely do that.
Yeah, I just came out with 7 high-risk, high-reward players, and man, did Reddit not like that at all.
Well,
What? Reddit likes things that people put out?
Oh,
Since
no.
when?
I got torn apart, but I mean, look at me. I'm still fine. I'm still sitting here. I'm still alive.
Nothing ever goes unscathed on Reddit.
No, not at all.
not in the least bit. We're going to talk camp cuts. So we got a bunch of cut downs to get through. We're going to look at some final depth charts. We're going to look at some practice squads and kind of reset for Dynasty, reset before the season. We'll look at all these questionable tags you're seeing on ESPN, who's on the pup, who's not on the pup. Try to break down what the lay of the beginning of the season looks like from every possible angle, and then finish it out with some bold predictions. So a lot of content to get through. Let's go ahead and jump straight into what we're drinking.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Dan, go ahead. Start us off.
I am drinking War Pigs Brewing. Been on War Pigs before. This is a collaboration between Keller Brewing and Three Floyds. This is their Blinding Light show. This is their IPA brewed with orange and lemon peel. Comes in probably at like 7-ish%, knowing that it's anything to do with Three Floyds generally has super high alcohol and gets you pretty fucked up. Obviously, dope ass can art. They like to they like to get a little cray with it. So, yeah. Ryan, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Shorts Brewery Local Light. because I just got done eating dinner and I'm so full still. So I had to go something a little bit light on the lighter side tonight.
I'm so full.
I think this is only the
Dude.
second time in 401 episodes we've had shorts on, because the first time I was unimpressed and I never bought it again. But
Really?
yeah, but I don't think that's their fault when I think about it. What I didn't realize at the time as a young beer drinker was that freshness matters, and I bought it from Friar Tuck. So knowing if I knew then what I knew now, it had probably been on the shelf for a year and a half at that point.
Oh yeah.
And all of the fruit and stuff that was supposed to be there had probably fallen off. So I need to give them another look. That's entirely not their fault. Come to find out, it was me being ignorant.
Yeah,
That is
I
a
mean,
very
this one's
important
good.
thing.
Yeah, because this one's just a good like light lager with flavor. That's what I like about it. It actually has flavor. It's not like like a Miller Lite or a Bud Light. It's something more flavorful. It's on the light side.
I'm glad it's got flavor.
All right. I have a little Penelope going on.
Ooh.
It's a Penelope Barrel Strength. This is hand selected by the St. Louis Bourbon Society, which I help run, and Barrel Blends. Barrel Blends, kind of like this new hotness that we've been partnering with out in Afton and Bridgeton down here. So they do some really, really good stuff and partner with us on a lot of stuff. This is a toasted barrel. Checks in at 115 proof. Char level 5, medium toast. So for those that don't know, your barrel chars run 1 through 5. So 5 is almost straight incinerated. And I think the barrel toast and the chars are only on the toasted series, if that's what you're looking for, or if you're showing you have Penelope too.
Yeah, this is I bought this one. God, I want to say like 6-7 months ago.
I've got some.
Mine's batch 8, 115.8 proof.
This is 4.5 years age, and like I said, medium toast. Char level 5, by the way, is almost an incinerated barrel. So, and then I do have, if I feel like it, midway through, I have another one back there that's actually the Chicago area barrel pick that went to the distributors up there. That I may compare with this one. That I know that one's pretty savory. This one's supposed to be opposite. So we'll see. Full review about midway through the show. All right, we're gonna skip the normal news segment unless you all can think of anything we really need to talk about. We're gonna jump straight into roster cuts. I'm just going to follow the way the NFL has this laid out. We're not going to talk about everybody. We're going to talk about either names that we find fun or, names that have dynasty value. So after we get through cut downs, we'll go look at who landed on practice squads, and then we'll reset depth charts and injuries. So sound good?
Sounds great.
Gucci.
All right. For the Buffalo Bills, and we'll go team by team in that order. So for the Buffalo Bills, notable cuts, Duke Johnson probably the end of the line, close to the end of the line for him. If his last few stops have proved that to you. Tavon Austin somehow still hanging around the league. OJ Howard was cut.
That one was kind of mind-boggling because his contract was 100% guaranteed too, even though it was only $3.5 million, but still.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been able to fully recover from was it an Achilles injury?
I think it was a knee injury.
Yeah. Something lower body.
Prospect.
Yeah.
He's just from can't miss prospect to can't catch on. So that one's is he cuttable in Dynasty at this point?
He actually signed with Cincinnati now.
Practice squad?
And they just they signed somebody.
They signed somebody else too. It's
Devin Asiati.
Asiasi. Yeah, it's not. So it's not practice squad with Cincinnati. Cincinnati has a lot of tight end injuries and is taking flyers on everyone. So do you hold out for that, or are you done with OJ Howard? Is it time to cut bait?
I mean, it's done. I mean, it's been 3 years since it's been nothing.
He's that player you're gonna drop week 1 when someone else comes out, and then that's the first player you're gonna look to drop. So I would hold on to him just for now, just in case. But
yeah,
he's that first player, that easy one to cut now, starting week 1 if someone goes off and he's on the waiver wire.
So he was going to. Rappaport, did they sign them both, or did they? I'm looking at this on Google, and I don't see anything officially about the Bengals signing him. They were interested before they picked up Ozzy.
Yeah, I just saw something come across. What was it, Sleeper?
Was it
Today?
Sleeper?
So that's kind of, I think that's what I was picking it up off of.
Yeah, I don't see that officially anywhere. So if one of y'all want to work to confirm that. I know they were interested. I see things that say they were interested. I don't see anything about them signing him officially, though. Last
Maybe I
update
jumped the gun.
is from 4 hours ago that highlights 5 potential landing spots.
Probably not then.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to go with probably not.
other than that, there's not anybody super notable that covers a skill position for them. So talking Bills real quick, they're pretty well set as far as their practice squad goes. Matt Barkley did get cut and end up on the practice squad. Duke Johnson was held on to and put on the practice squad, as was Tavon Austin, Tanner Gentry of Bears fan lore. And looking at the Bills depth chart, they're pretty well set. It looks like Isaiah McKenzie is going to get the first shot at slot receiver over Jamison Crowder. Khalil Shakir is actually listed outside on the depth chart. But they were running him in both in the preseason.
Yeah.
So,
that's expectation.
Yeah. So, and Jake Kumaro makes the final roster.
Fucking Jake Krumero.
He hangs on.
He's back.
Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers.
Zach Moss
Go.
did survive cuts, so it was thought for a while there that he could be a cut down, but you will have a 3-headed, turtle of James Cook, Devin Singletary, and Zach Moss to start at running back, and so nobody really has a firm hold on that job. So looking at the Bills, Isaiah McKenzie winning that job. Dan, we've talked about it on the show. Y'all consider him for a late round flyer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So can confirm on OJ Howard, he did not sign.
Okay.
So
Cool.
he was visiting, and assuming all goes well with the physical, he's expected to sign.
Just hasn't yet.
This hasn't
Yeah.
been. Okay.
Yeah, and if he does, then that's worth noting because the Bengals right now have Hayden Hurst healthy and nobody else. So, all right, moving on from the Bills, they're pretty well set to go as you'd expect. The Miami Dolphins, they did cut Sony Michel. He has since signed with the Los Angeles Chargers.
That didn't take long at all either.
It did not take long as well. What that does mean, though, is that Myles Gaskin survived cuts. So he'll hang out. Sony Michel's gone. Lynn Bowden, who was kind of caught a little bit around draft time, was cut, as was Preston Williams, who had a standout rookie season, and Braylon Sanders. It's got to be his son. It's not actually Braylon Sanders. As was Mohamed Sanu. This was expected. They were always going to clean wide receiver house after signing Cedric Wilson and trading for Tyreek Hill. So Preston Williams will have a chance to land elsewhere. Could be intriguing if there's an option. He may have already. We'll get there. And no notable tight end cuts here. So, by the way, the other notable Bills cut, by the way, they did cut Matt Ariza. And
As they should.
As they should
Fuck
have.
that guy.
because that guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Hardcore.
So
But if he was a quarterback, he'd only have 11-game suspension.
that's
That's
true.
right.
That is right. The Dolphins on the NFL's practice squad tracker have not officially announced anybody on their practice squad, so we have no idea who's going to fill that out yet. And as far as their backfield, right now Chase Edmonds shows as the lead back. I'd expect him and Mostert will probably split a lot to start, at least until Mostert gets hurt on his fourth carry.
I don't know. Mostert didn't look bad in his carry.
Yeah.
He had
That
the
was
speed, he
scary.
had the burst.
I'm not worried about him looking bad.
He did that thing.
I don't
Yeah,
think
he
should
had
have
to do.
always been taking Chase Edmonds.
I don't think he'll
Always
look
should have
bad. And your depth wide receivers, Trent Sherfield does make the team, former Cardinals guy who's had some standout rookie weeks, and Eric Uzukama, who was a fourth-round pick this year, also makes the team. So Cedric Wilson will start in the slot.
Nice.
Anything else on the Dolphins to know? Gaskin makes the
might be a
team.
good wide receiver 4 for you on your dynasty teams if you're still looking for a bench stash.
Cedric Wilson.
No, Eric Uzakama.
Uzakama, yeah. Him making the team's good.
Right.
That's it.
That's
Usually,
the first step, guys.
that is the first step.
Breaking
Uzakama.
news. Breaking
Make the
news.
team.
Making the football team is
You
good for your
usually
fantasy.
have to be on the team to have fantasy upside.
Usually have to be on a team
Yep.
to score some fantasy points.
Garrett Dokes also cut, by the way. Fun college name for,
Dog. See, that was a name for
a little bit.
Yeah.
Was it like a half?
about
Half of a game?
about a
Ran
half
the
of a
waiver
minute.
wire?
It's about half of a minute.
He had his 15 minutes of fame.
He did.
He had something.
All right. Patriots. Their cuts include running back Kevin Harris. He was a guy that, we thought had some between the tackles ability, might have a chance to catch on. He did not. But he did show a little bit of promise. He did make it through their practice squad, as did Lil Jordan Humphrey, a favorite of the show from a couple years ago.
Jordan, he's still I'm so happy he's still in the league.
He
Now,
was
why
a
couldn't he have tested
favorite of the show until he ran a 40.
until he ran in quicksand?
And both Patriots tight end draft picks, Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene, were cut. So
God,
Those
if
were
it
the-
wasn't for Green Bay having some of the worst drafts over the past few years, New England continues to botch. Things.
no, they do. This is like the pair of tight ends. It was supposed to be the next pair of tight ends, and then they signed Johnny Smith and Hunter Henry.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere there was 2 out of their last 13 picks have still stuck on the team from
It's-
2018 to now. It's so bad.
it's so bad.
I was like, poor Cole Strange. Hope he makes it.
Their practice squad, like I said. Oh, J.J. Taylor also cut, by the way. J.J. Taylor, who was supposed to be a thing, no longer there.
So is it Pierre Strong?
Pierre Strong did make
Is
the
their third down back?
Ramondre Stevenson.
I thought Harris
Pierce-
was going to make the team because of Montgomery going down. I thought Harris actually had a shot.
I thought
with
so
Pierce,
too.
With Pierre Strong going on there also.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we'll see how he fares. I doubt Harris will be back next year. Or Damian Harris, that is.
Yeah.
New England likes to just rotate their backs in and out. So
And if Harris falters, then Ramondre Stevenson's going to get early down work, and it probably will be Pierre Strong spelling him. Pierre Strong, though, you didn't hear a lot about him through training camp because he apparently did not have a, pardon the pun, strong training camp. So, or a strong preseason. So, there were a couple projections that had him off the roster. So he did make it, but it looks like it'll be a 1-2 punch, at least to start, of Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, which is good. You want that, especially if Harris is getting or Stevenson is getting more than just receiving work. It does justify his draft capital in that Devin Singletary range. The guys that snuck through the practice squad are Kevin Harris, J.J. Taylor, Lil Jordan Humphrey. They did add 2 tight ends, Jalen Weidermeyer, the only name that I know. I don't know who Matt Circle is.
Jalen Wademeyer.
This also means that the Patriots are going to run out a wide receiver trio that is kind of uninspiring. No offense to Jacoby Myers, but Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker listed as starters, even though Nelson Aguilar is really the only one you heard anything about in camp at all.
That was so weird.
Hunter Henry, Johnny Smith, the only 2 tight ends that make the roster.
That's for a team that
Questionable?
likes, that feels light. Are they going to try to run more 3 receiver sets? Then I wonder.
I would think so. That, or they're going to end
Or
up signing
they're trying-
somebody.
That would be my guess. They're probably waiting for the rest of the cuts and for more of the waivers
Things to settle
I
out.
guess, to come through. Yeah.
But they did keep 4 running backs, so that you got to create it somehow, and that's apparently where that came from. So
Yeah.
5 wide receivers kept. So yeah, kind of what we expected for the Patriots. Honestly, the wide receiver core doesn't give you any surprises. The running back core doesn't give you any surprises. So let's just keep moving to the New York Jets. Tevin Coleman, Michael Pirine, both cut. Again, makes some sense, right? You've got a 1-2 punch of Breece Hall, Michael Carter. I don't remember who that makes the third.
Oh my God, who it?
Their third running back
Is it Ty Johnson?
Ty Johnson.
Ty Johnson, yeah.
And
that's
then
the
they
name.
also
I'm like,
cut Zonovan Knight, college free agent.
Oh, okay.
So it is Ty Johnson that makes the team, which makes sense, right? You got a younger guy who showed some promise in the receiving game. LaMichael P. Ryan was more between the tackles guy. So they're gone. Denzel Mims not cut.
I mean, he did have a good camp. You know,
He had a
best
good
shape
game.
of his life.
So tears in the deep dynasty community are flowing as Kenny Yeboah was cut. Oh.
Aw.
And then former Bears kicker Eddie Pinheiro. Good riddance. Making it through the practice squad for them is, well, Kenny Yeboah, and then no other real skill position. So for the New York Jets, we'll get to injuries here in a minute, and Zach Wilson. He's not ruled out for week 1 yet, but probably more likely to see him week 2, week 3. Your Garrett Wilson is listed as the third wide receiver with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis on the depth chart. Denzel Mims did end up making the team, as did Braxton Berrios. So
He plays special teams. He's important.
He is. So Jets actually have some perceived depth there this year.
Oh yeah, I mean they spent, two top 50,
They spent
60
three.
picks
3
I'm
top
th-
30, I think.
on wide receivers.
They did.
So-
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
They did indeed, and improve the offensive line. So Again.
Outside of losing Mekhi Becton right now.
yeah, but he kind of had a bad rookie year too. So we'll see. Not looking good for Becton, but all skill positions go. No real surprises there for the New York Jets. Moving on to the AFC North. Pardon me. For the Ravens, Corey Clement and Tyler Beatty both cut. Beatty did go through to the practice squad. As a resident Tyler Beatty truther, I'm not concerned yet. If I'm a Tyler Beatty dynasty manager, I am also shoving him on my practice squad and letting this play out the way that the Ravens go through running backs, the way that they depend on running backs, the way that their injuries have happened. And, I think they're not committed to Gus Edwards beyond this season. So there's going to be some things cleaning up. This does mean that they keep Justice Hill on the roster. If there's any faltering, if there's a need, Beatty's going to have a shot here with this team at some point. So I'm not necessarily concerned about him getting shoved down immediately to the practice squad.
Nope, just throwing on yours. He was never really worth a stash and redraft, but just, as you said, shove him on your taxi squad in Dynasty, and then
If you believe
we'll
in
go
him,
back here again next year and see what happens.
let it play out. Corey Clement cut. Nobody. They cut a lot of wide receivers, but there's not anybody ringing a bell there for me.
Bunch of journeymen, huh?
I mean, well, I know the names, but it's not anybody that had any clout to them. No tight ends that had any clout to them. A punter by the last name of Dicker also got cut. Tyler Beatty, Benjamin Victor, sneaking it through the practice squad. Ravens depth chart. One thing to note there: Rashad Bateman, obviously the wide receiver that gets all the talent. Devin Duvernay got to get himself a shot.
Good for
Should.
him.
Yep.
As a
Yeah.
starter, he should. And we liked him a lot coming out. I'm the guy I fully believe could be a late bloomer. That's not saying that he's a redraft stash, but if somebody's given up on him in Dynasty, take the flyer if you're a rebuilding team. If you don't have a deep roster, why not? It's going to be a starting wide receiver. There's a lot of hope, as there is every year, around Lamar Jackson improving his passing game. So, and then the running backs, J.K. Dobbins, noticeable limp, will not start on the pup. Mike Davis makes the team. Kenyon Drake signed, which is probably why Tyler Beatty did end up getting cut.
Yeah, I mean, they'll always defer, just what happened last year, being able to have the veteran presence, being able to have, guys that have had game time just in case you lose a couple starters, which they've had. They've, their top two backs have struggled to come back. So,
and Drake immediately
sense.
lands in a good spot too. That shouldn't be lost in this. That Kenyon Drake landed in a good spot with J.K. Dobbins limping around, not looking like he's going to be 100% for week 1. And we know that Mike Davis was wholly ineffective last year. Gus Edwards isn't ready to go. Kenyon Drake could be a sneaky flyer for the first couple weeks.
Could be, but Dobbins was walking around saying STFU, and he's not limping.
Dobbins
He's
was
fine.
saying STFU from the beginning. If you watched a video, he was limping.
Oh yeah, I saw him hit those pads and start walking away with a limp.
Yeah, I don't care what he's saying. He's been saying it all offseason, and the reports otherwise have not been good. He re-injured himself, missed practice time. Now he's walking with a noticeable limp. If you see it, like, look, you can tell anybody whatever you want to tell him. He can tell the media, shut the fuck up. Eyes don't lie.
See, here I try to do PG level, and you go, rated R now.
PG. Ryan, how long
I
have you
said
listened to this
STF.
show for? 5
Like,
years?
5 years. I
Yeah.
was trying, new things, but that lasted all 5 seconds.
Honestly, in
Pretty
my
good.
opinion, it's just a bad look for J.K. Dobbins that he keeps doing that.
Yeah.
Personally.
No, I totally
Oh.
agree.
We'll see.
More on him later.
Doesn't change anything as a player, just kind of a bad luck. Anyway, not anything that's going to amount to anything. Calm down, Dan.
Ah! I'm not mad at all.
Bengals, only notable person. Well, a couple noticeable people cut here. Thaddeus Moss, former LSU tight end. And actually, I think that's it. Jox Patrick, Jake Browning, former Washington quarterback.
Jake's Browning.
All cut by the Bengals. Jake Browning and Thaddeus Moss both through to the practice squad, though. Bengals, no surprises there. Samaje Perine hangs on as their third down back, which is awesome.
I still think Chris Evans is going to be the one that excels in that position.
He's the one you want.
Yeah.
He's
no,
the one you want.
no, it's Samaje Perine.
No, I mean,
Always Samaje Perine.
it's. I mean, Zach Taylor would agree with you apparently. So
Trent Taylor, former San Francisco draft pick, and Stanley Morgan Jr., who's a special teams ace for them, more so than anything. Both made the
yeah, he
roster.
is.
Is wide receiver depth, and then as Ryan mentioned, Chris Evans. So, and then the Devin Asiasi pickup. For the Browns, Josh Rosen was cut. So, I guess all those teams really didn't make a mistake. John Kelly was cut, which
Oh.
just continues to be sad. Former Bear Javon Wims cut, not making it through. And apparently, there was something about the Browns I didn't know. They had the market cornered on tight ends with hyphenated last names.
Oh, okay.
Nakia
Really?
Griffin Stewart, Zaire Mitchell Payton, and Marcus Santos Silva are all on their cut list. They
Wow.
cut 3 tight ends that had hyphenated last names.
Worth it.
Worth it indeed. No kicker notes there. I always gotta look for kicker notes. Kicker notes. John Kelly did sneak through to their practice squad. I can't wait to see him in an NFL game one day.
Might be waiting a while, unfortunately.
Probably. Donovan Peoples-Jones and David Bell, another guy who has not caught a lot of much throughout camp hype-wise. David Bell listed as a starting slot receiver. Kind of a forgotten
I've been
guy.
saying that. I've been saying that all. He did get day 2 draft capital.
You were calling him the Jarvis Landry replacement. I mean, the exact replica.
He's
Everything's
just
been
as
on,
athletic, just bigger. So
everything's
not that
been
that's
on
saying much.
everything's been on Watson in camp and the Kareem Hunt trade and all that. I mean, this is lost news that, third round pick David Bell, kind of a forgotten guy from that tier of wide receivers, is snuck in as the starting slot receiver on the depth chart. Anthony Schwartz is 4th.
Yeah, he'll play outside too. Swartz is their double move guy. Would have always just assumed it would have been Cooper, Peoples-Jones, and then Bell in the middle.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it is. Jacoby Brissett listed as a starter. Josh Dobbs will back him up. Apparently, they also snagged Kellen Mond off waivers. So Kellen Mond greater than Josh Rosen is where we're at.
No, again, not hard to do.
I was excited for Kellen Mond. I'm like, yeah, he's back somewhere again.
Me too. I like Kellen Mond.
So do I.
I'm one of few, I think.
We are one of you now.
We are one of few. Pittsburgh Steelers, Max Borghi, Master T, both cut. So a couple rookie running backs that at one point had a little bit of fire behind their name. Of course, Borghi was more in Devi.
Master T, he couldn't do anything on Ohio State, so
No.
I'm not surprised by this cut at all.
Jay Sternberger also cut. That's a disappointment as somebody who should have been a good move tight end.
God, we were so high on him too.
We were.
Who wasn't high on him?
Everyone was high on him.
Apparently
Yeah,
not.
like-
He looked like a.
Apparently
Not the
Green
NFL.
Bay, and they changed it.
Apparently not.
Nah, just kidding.
Yeah, not the NFL, because everything else. I mean, Jay Sternberger is just going to be one of those things where we look and say, "How did we miss?" Anthony McFarland snuck through to their practice squad. He was also cut. Another guy that was, caught a lot of hype and
Yeah, never bought into it.
ended up being nothing.
Oh, I did. I bought into it, but I just cut him today from our dynasty league. So
So, fun fact:
it was sad.
Miles Boykin is a Steeler now. I didn't know that. Just saying, they
Yay for
have.
Miles Boykin, I guess.
They kept 7 wide receivers. The Steelers did.
7?
Yep. George Pickens is listed as the other outside starter with Claypool in the slot.
They put Claypool in the slot.
For this depth chart, Claypool's a slot wide receiver. Pickens
I
is
do like that
outside.
move, though. I do like that move. I mean, he's almost a tight end anyways.
He's
You
a
might
move
as well
tight
put
end
him in
right
the
there.
slot. Yeah, you might
He
as
is.
well put him in the slot.
You might as well. Mitch Trubisky is listed as a starter. So, I don't know if they ever
send that train.
out and confirm that or not, but Kenny Pickett did have a good camp, good preseason, so that's going to put pressure on Trubisky to perform early on, but he does make it through as a starter. Former Bear Zach Gentry, there's a tight end. Tight end. Nothing else really to note there. So for the Steelers, again, George Pickens, a lot like David Bell, he's going to get early opportunity, and that's probably where the flyer is a rookie, even more so than David Bell because of the talent level of George Pickens.
Oh, George Pickens has been going above Chase Claypool now in redraft leagues.
Sure.
He is.
Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah. I think both 11th round picks.
Why not?
Yep, you're right. Pickens at 11:04 and Chase at 11:11. Make
Be-
a wish.
Benny Snell survives another day.
Fucking
Aw.
Benny Snell.
What about Jalen
Jesus.
Warren, man? Talk about that guy.
He's coming up. He's
Right?
I've been taking him in some leagues, just kind of I got him in my auction league as a min bet, just kind of make it through.
It's Pittsburgh. As long as Najee Harris is healthy, they're going to ride him into the
Oh, yeah.
ground. They don't use
Oh,
multiple
absolutely.
backs.
No.
I'm never interested in whoever's behind the lead back on the depth chart in Pittsburgh. Unless that lead back is James Conner, then I'm interested in about week
No,
4.
I'm always interested because if something were to happen to Najee, starter, again, one injury away,
Yeah, but
unless it's James Conner or Benny
and
Snell.
Benny Snell's one injury away. Jalen
never-
Warren's third on the depth chart.
I'm never interested in Benny Snell.
He's
Never.
one injury away, Dan.
Nah, well, nope. I'll take Jalen Warden instead.
One injury away.
Oh man.
AFC
my point.
South Texans, they cut Marlon Mack and Jeff Driscoll. So Marlon Mack, very surprising cut here.
My
Uh,
jaw dropped on that one. I'm like, because I didn't really see like a reason to like cut him. Like, you have 32-year-old Rex Burkhead, 33-year-old. Like, I don't know how old he is now. He's in his 30s, and he makes the team still.
And you're a rebuilding team, so unless you're just going for veteran presence, which you could get with Marlon Mack, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
take the young guy that produced, hurt himself, and should have a chance to produce again. So that, yeah, I'm with you. That was really questionable to me, why you would keep Burkhead and not Mack.
I mean, maybe Mac just isn't as good as maybe he's just not all the way back, and it was just easier for them to keep a running back who's shown to have the ability to kind of just be a fill-in piece when needed. Like they've always said, he was just a guy that's there to just to play his role. And I guess it was always Marlon Mack versus Damian Pierce, and then Rex Burkhead was just the third down guy.
Yeah, but if it's versus Damian Pierce, I don't know how on this roster, on a rebuilding roster, you can't find a spot for somebody like Marlon Mack there. They kept Darren Ogunbowale, which special teams ace, yes, good specials teamer. He does fill in more ways than one, but I mean,
They kept 3 running backs.
They kept 3
So
running
tell me-
backs.
That's That's more shocking to me almost than just cutting Marlon. I mean, cutting Marlon back shocking, even more so because only
they only kept 4 running backs. Yeah, they kept, and they did pick up Tyler Johnson on waivers, so we can talk about that. He's going to have an opportunity to supplant Chris Moore and Nico Collins, and I think he easily could beat out either one of them once he gets caught on. So
I'm interested to see where they try to slot him in. I'm kind of hoping big slot. If he can beat out Chris Moore, then I don't know what to tell him, but
he should be able to beat out both of those guys.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on, especially midseason. We could be talking about Tyler Johnson as a waiver pickup here about midway through the year. I wouldn't go jump it just yet, but watch list him because he's somebody that we could be talking about as a waiver pickup mid-year. But yeah, the Marlon Mack thing it really does baffle me.
Yeah, that was a hard one to take yesterday. I was like, what the heck is going on?
And I'm really trying to figure out where they kept extra people.
They keep extra tight ends?
No, they only have 3. They only have 5 wide receivers.
Must have been defense.
Offensive linemen.
Had to have been. They're 3 deep at some defensive positions. So
yeah.
Again, just
Lovie Smith. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, huh? Also cut Chad Beebe, Chris Conley. So
Marlon Mack did make it to the practice squad.
And Chester Rogers. Yeah, Marlon Mack on the practice squad. That's good. That he caught on there and may catch something later this season. But yeah, I hate that he didn't make the actual roster. So really sucky. On to the Colts. Philip Lindsay cut. Expected?
Man, it was a waiver wire darling to this now. Yeah.
I mean, now he's just a guy.
He had a couple good seasons in Denver, and then, just a guy. Tyson.
No, he's just somebody that I used to know.
Somebody that you used to know. Tyson Williams also cut, speaking of somebody that we used to think we knew. Anyway. Man, that was fun last preseason.
Oh man, people were so upset after week 1. They're like, "Why? And then they just cut him. They're like, "Oh, we want Le'Veon Bell instead." God.
Kiki Kuti did make it through the Colts practice squad.
What is dead may never die.
After being cut. So, for the Colts, they are going to open up with Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Alec Pierce as their starting wide receivers. Very formidable 3-set. Pierce apparently is learning and coming along quite nicely. Definitely worth the roster in Dynasty. He should have been drafted. So keep an eye on that. Paris Campbell, definitely worth the late round flyer as the field stretcher in this offense. So I know Pierce has some deep ball ability as well, but Campbell playing the slot with that speed, I definitely want to take a late round pick on him.
Absolutely.
And
especially when it sounds like he's had the better camp between him and Pierce too. So
it does.
He's finally been healthy. That's what he needed. He needed that healthy camp and everything.
Don't jinx it.
And tight end position, Mo Alley Cox will come out as a starter, so that's worth noting. Highly athletic guy that's been touted for several years now to see if he can hit. Matt Ryan traditionally does like his tight ends. Jelani Woods also made the final roster. Mo Alley Cox is late round tight end to note there.
Like it.
Anything else on the Colts? Probably not. Okay, great.
That was weird.
Jaguars. Yeah, your camera cut out.
It did. It just reset Zoom.
Jaguars. Raquel Armstead. Cut.
Hey, I'm just glad that he was able to get back into football. He had 2 terrible bouts with COVID.
Yeah.
Right when it was still
when it was real bad.
Super skilled. Yeah, that's some shit there. Good for him.
Laquan Treadwell cut. He'll catch on somewhere. He always seems to. What is dead may never die? The definition of that is Laquan Treadwell. And Brashad Perryman.
Oh my god, yeah. Those two are always around.
You know when you get that first round draft cap.
They never go away.
Hold on line. Nope, they don't.
Elliott Fry.
More on that later.
And Ryan Santoso both cut. And also of note here with the Jaguars is that Laviska Shenault. Panthers.
Rated.
Interesting.
Traded to the Panthers.
I like this though.
Is he going to be that gadget player for Christian McCaffrey?
He's going to be the guy that. Yeah, he's going to be the guy that Curtis Samuel was supposed to be, I think.
You think so? He needs to bust out from the slot and
Maybe.
basically do like the Debo Samuel type move.
I think he can. I don't know if Matt Rule's the right person to get gadgety like that, but I think there's more talent there, and he's going to have another chance to do it. And if anything, the change of scenery was absolutely necessary. So let's see it. He's another guy that you watch list and just see what happens and watch how he's used as the first part of the season goes on.
I like what it may open up in Jacksonville. I mean, we can shit on Shenault all we want, but he's back-to-back 100 target guy in a room that really doesn't have a lot of heavy target getter guys. They just reset the market wise, with wide receiver contract with Kurt. Like that's just a lot of targets leaving the offense for.
Kirk continues to be one of the best values in redrafts. But that's also very good news for Travis Etienne. It's really good news for Evan Ingram, who I think a lot of people are excited to see. Well, maybe not a lot of people. It might just be me. Excited to see him in a change of scenery. Another late round flyer on a tight end you can take where there's legitimate upside. And Zay Jones, who seemed to catch on with the Ravens a bit. Not the Ravens, the Raiders. The Ravers.
The Ravers.
The Vegas Ravers. Actually, that would be a better team name.
The Vegas Ravers.
The Ravers. The Ravers.
The Ravers. It sounds like a drunk guy when he's after had little one too many, trying to say Raiders and Ravens at the same time.
Yep. Also note Jamal Agnew is on the final roster and apparently healthy, as is James Robinson. Agnew was their most valuable fantasy player last season.
At one point. Special teams
kick returns.
He's not going to run it back. Yeah, he did pretty good. They used him as a running back for a bit last year, too.
And a wide receiver.
He was
outproducing Laviska Shenault at one point last year.
He was.
Wasn't he like wide receiver one for like the first 2 weeks on that team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's how bad it was.
For a little bit.
It was right before Chark. It was right after Chark got hurt. Everyone's like, ooh, Chark's hurt. Now it's time Laviska Shenault. Nope, Jamal Agnew instead. Just kidding, guys.
We all knew it. They did also waiver claim JaMychal Hasty from San Francisco. So he makes their final roster. Dan Arnold, third tight end of the depth chart. So it's a lot of different faces here in Jacksonville for Doug Peterson's offense. But it should be fun to watch. Christian Kirk is the guy that you should be targeting late in most of your drafts. But there will be somebody else that emerges here, I think, as the season goes on outside of Kirk and ETN.
Who I love both. Breakout players for me, by the way. Both of them.
They are both breakout players. As they should be.
Quiet.
Shh. Don't tell anybody.
Stealing my takes.
Riley Patterson.
Like the children.
Another thing to note, Riley Patterson will be the kicker in Jacksonville.
Cool.
On waivers from Detroit. I don't know. The kicker in Jacksonville. So there you go.
There you go.
Tennessee Titans, Logan Woodside was cut. So Malik Willis will open the season as a backup.
Good. That would have been bad if not. That would have been real bad. He's like, who's third?
That's an improvement.
That's Logan Woodside, hot garbage.
Also cut from the Titans, Des Fitzpatrick, Terry Godwin, Cody Hollister. So just a bunch of guys at the wide receiver. Jordan Wilkins, another former Colts back that should have a real opportunity someplace that keeps failing to get one.
The scheme back.
Yeah, that's so true.
Logan Woodside did make it through the practice squad, which kind of expected there. Most teams, if they have a quarterback around they're cutting, they're going to end up on the practice squad. As for the rest of the Titans offense, Treylon Burks right now listed as the third starter. Kyle Phillips listed outside, I think, listed as a backup slot receiver to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
That's not going to last long.
No, Phillips is going to take over that slot spot. I think Burks is going to have to beat out Westbrook outside for that to stick. I think Kyle Phillips is. I don't trust his depth chart. I think Kyle Phillips is the guy that's out there with Westbrook and Robert Woods week 1.
Yep.
Burks has not had a good camp. He's going to have to earn his way there throughout the season.
Not been pretty.
No, definitely has not. Hassan Haskins does make the final roster, as does Dontrell Hilliard. They will back up Derrick Henry.
So the Julius Chestnut stuff was not true.
Julius Chestnut's there.
Yeah, but they were saying like he was ahead of Haskins based on the way he was playing.
No.
Haskins is the better pass catcher. Like he's their third guy. I mean, maybe
Haskins,
Chestnut becomes Deonta Foreman if something happens to Henry. But
I think, yeah. I mean, I think it's probably just, if I'm picking a cuff here, it's probably Haskins over Hilliard and Chestnut.
Oh, absolutely. Haskins is like a replica of Derrick Henry, but just smaller.
Big fucking dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big fucking dude.
He's a big dude. Smaller
He's
than
not
Derrick
6'4".
Henry is not hard to do.
Yeah.
No.
Very, very big dude. All right.
Very good Michigan back.
Indeed. For the Broncos, did Max Borghi get cut twice?
He's so elusive. He got cut twice.
I think he did.
That's got to be bad for your elusive rating.
Yeah,
there.
he was. He got cut twice. He was on the Steelers cut. We see this every year too with someone. Max Borghi got cut twice. He was also cut from the Broncos.
Is it like Madden when they accidentally signed the Ron Max? Oh shit, cut.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's the wrong guy. I meant to pick up somebody else.
Whoops.
Oopsie.
See,
Oopsie. I clicked the wrong button.
the damn X button every time.
Josh Johnson cut. Which
He's looking for team number 15 now, I think. Now
he will
right?
be. Yep. Divino Zigbo cut. Jaquan Hardy, Caden Davis, Travis Fulgham, Kendall Hinton, former quarterback, for one game. Trey Quinn. Also
Trey
cut
Quinn.
here. Yeah, he's hanging around.
Ah,
He is hanging around.
he's a thing.
And then punter Sam Martin cut. So Kendall Hinton through to the practice squad out of those guys. Josh Johnson also through to the practice squad. So that means for the Denver Broncos, their backup quarterback is going to be Brett Rippon. So he'll reprise that role. Mike Boone is going to be the back behind Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. No reason to pay any attention to that at the moment.
Not at all.
Nope.
And
No one
not at the
cares.
moment, at least.
KJ Hamler is the third wide receiver with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, as was kind of expected when Tim Patrick went down.
Yeah.
So, not a whole lot shocking here. Alberto listed as a starting tight end.
As you should be.
Kansas City Chiefs, Dustin Crum was cut. Jaron Ely. Derek Gore got cut after strong finish to last season.
Too many running backs in their roster.
Indeed.
Not enough
Yeah.
running backs for Ryan Pacheco's hype train, so.
Nope. Also cut Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, and Reese Fountain. So, couple former darlings there. You know who's not on that cut list, though?
Justin
Watson.
baby.
Justin Watson.
He survives. There's only 5 of them there, too.
Yep. Ely and Fountain back through to the practice squad for them. For the Chiefs, looking at their starting receivers, Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster. Sorry, it's not Sky Moore. Sky Moore is not listed as a starter. It's MVS, Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster. Sky will work his way there. Justin Watson is the 5th. So
I can't believe it's just veteran semantics, but Sky Moore's starting.
he'll beat out one
halfway.
of MVS or
He'll
Mecole.
beat out
Look at Coleman.
Mecole.
Yeah.
Mecole's just a gadget player. Overdrafted because of the Tyreek news.
Yep, he will. This depth chart leads really good things for Juju Smith-Schuster to start.
Love
Yeah.
Juju this year.
Yep, absolutely.
Kind of where I'm at with it. Running back wise, Edwards-Helaire listed as a starter. Jerick McKinnon makes the final team after a strong finish to his season. Ronald Jones, amongst much speculation, also makes the team as a 4th back. And Isaiah Pacheco. Look, not enough people talk about how this running back committee is going to be ugly to start the season.
That's why you want to go for some of these dart throws. I got Pacheco.
I've got
Even
McKinnon.
with the hype news. I got Pacheco for $1 in the
Yeah.
auction league.
I've got McKinnon in a couple places just because of how he finished last year in this offense.
Just we know that Clyde is just not very good. So
And he's also dropping in drafts. I don't mind taking him as he drops either.
he is
That's true,
dropping,
yeah.
and Ronald Jones, don't worry about him.
no.
Yeah.
He's
He's a
one you
jag.
can leave off your list. We don't count him.
No, he's a chief.
Well, I call him Jagged, just a guy.
Yeah, he's a chief though. Las Vegas Ravers.
Ravers.
Kenyon Drake, we already talked about. He got cut. Keelan Cole did not make the final roster. Demarcus Robinson did not make the final roster.
Oh.
So
Did Devontae Adams make it?
yeah. Yep, you can calm down. Devontae Adams did make it. Through to the practice squad, only guy of note there is Dylan Stoner. So, Stoner's former Oregon standout that we liked a little bit. I don't want to say we liked him a lot in Planted Flags, just liked him a little bit. That means final running back, Zamir White does make the team. He is listed as the backup to Josh Jacobs currently. Amir Abdullah makes the team. He's listed as fourth, as does Brittain Brown. So, looking at this running back core, I feel a lot better about Josh Jacobs as a non-believer in Zamir White.
I'm the exact opposite. I love Zamir White as a non-believer in Josh Jacobs.
Well,
one
of us is going to be right.
Oh, there's a small section out there that are like, put Amir Abdullah.
Are you going to take? Do you want to take that? Do you want to launch onto that one and take that side of it so that we just got all of our bases covered?
I'm on the team. Don't fucking draft either of them. Like, even like I would take Josh just because he's starting right away, and they like, but new coaching staff,
Mm-hmm.
Zamir White
running back
does deserve to be a late round flyer. So he does.
Right, especially if you get special teams points.
Hey,
because that's probably
he's
all
one
he'll
injury
be good
away.
for.
No, he's one injury away. Always.
He actually is one injury away from mediocrity right now. I will give you that. He is one injury
away from probably
being an RB1.
Josh Jacobs.
So
Ryan, I'm on your team. Not that far.
So guess who's listed as the other starter here for wide receivers? Mac Hollins is listed as the other outside receiver.
Mac Hollins.
Seriously?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
He's listed as the other outside receiver. He's not going to amount to much with Renfro and Waller and Adams all demanding targets, but he's the other guy. He's one injury.
That's so bad. Like
he's one injury away.
This is why you want Hunter Henry or not Hunter. This is why you want Hunter Renfro.
This is why you want Hunter Renfro.
There's literally 3 people in this entire receiving core, both tight ends and receivers that you want.
We've seen it before.
Oh,
yeah,
rough.
Absolutely, this is why you want Hunter Renfro. So, there you go. That wide receiver core is not deep.
No, it's
if anything happens, you're relying on Mac
Oof.
Hollins. That is very shallow. There's enough names cut. They should go try to solidify that.
You would think they would add one more.
Yeah. I mean, there's been enough guys cut. Go add one more.
Yeah.
No one of note cut from the Chargers, unless you believe in Jason Moore and Joe Reed. Those are names from yesteryear. So, nobody of note cut from the Chargers. They're going to break camp exactly as anticipated. So, obviously Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer listed as starters. Jalen Guyton's the next guy up, depth-wise. Larry Roundtree did end up cut later on when Sony Michel was signed. So it will be Austin Eckler, Josh Kelly, Isaiah Spiller, Sony Michel opening the season on this team. Josh Kelly is listed as Austin Eckler's backup. Some news late in the season that he was outperforming Isaiah Spiller, and then Spiller hurt his ankle. So,
Spiller's falling down drafts.
What's that?
Spiller's falling down drafts.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
I do.
Just terrible. So, Spiller does not open as the backup of note. Austin Eckler will play bell cow role. Sony Michel being signed too tells me that, one, worth a flyer, two, they wanted to bring somebody else in with Spiller and Kelly here. And I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think Sony Michel actually has an inside track at being the backup here, all things considered, especially after how he did with the Rams last year.
I would consider him the backup even over Josh Kelly. Like, depth charts are depth charts, but I would sooner rather than later.
Just because he doesn't know the
Michel is
offense.
the backup. Yeah. Well, yeah. He's, veteran.
Well, Andy was just picked up, and our lads tends to, when somebody's just picked up, shove them at the back end of the practice squad, at the back end of whatever position until they figure it out. So
that's true. Fair point.
Yeah, Dustin Hopkins still kicking for them. We
Still
do
doing
that.
things.
Oh, they barely do that. They always
What
go for it
the-
on fourth down.
They do always go for it.
Who the hell? Huh? Hold on, I gotta go look at this.
What, Jalen Rager?
No, the Dallas Cowboys. Their cut list just threw me for a freaking loop.
Kicker the kicker?
No, they have no backup quarterback.
I thought they had Cooper Rush.
They cut Ben DiNucci, Will Greer, and Cooper Rush. They have no backup quarterback on their roster. It is only Dak Prescott.
Maybe it's Jerry Jones.
That's why I was confused. They cut
Jerry Jones coming off the booth.
Jerry Jones going in to play quarterback. It's Troy Aikman. They have no backup quarterback. They cut all of DiNucci, Greer, and Cooper Rush.
I gotta look this up. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
They had to have brought one of them into their practice squad just for roster reasons. They did. They brought Will Greer and Cooper Rush both onto the practice squad. This has got to be for roster reasons, and they're going to promote one of them before week 1.
Yeah.
So I hadn't looked at that yet. Just looking, that's ballsy. They literally cut
I love it.
all of their damn quarterbacks
I love it.
except Dak Prescott. Got him through
Oh, yeah.
waivers, and Will Greer and Cooper Rush are now on the practice squad, and one of them
They're
will
going
get
to try to go
promoted
after
be the
Josh
backup.
Rosen, turn him in
Right.
quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because that is how their depth chart shows it on our lads.
That's so
That's
good.
Dak Prescott and everything else is blank after that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
They cut all 3 of them and then re-signed 2
freaking
of them to the
nuts.
practice squad. That's some cat maneuvering is what that is.
Oh, that's just nerve wracking.
Yeah, right? What happens if they get claimed? Although, I think
They'll hit.
well, what that tells me is that if one of them did get claimed, they kind of didn't expect both of them to get claimed. If I had to guess, it's if Cooper Rush gets claimed, at least we still have Will Greer. He's not getting claimed. So,
Yeah.
anyway, Ryan Knoll was also cut. Just mentioning that former Bear. So, and then Jeremy Sprinkle, former tight end that we liked. Brett Maher also cut, which he was also shoved through the practice squad. Which, if memory serves me, that means they also don't have a kicker on their active roster right now.
I got to look at this now.
They don't have a kicker. They don't have a long snapper on their active roster. They kept a bunch of defensive pieces, it looks like, because they're only 3 deep at running back, with Rico Dowdle being the other guy. No, they kept 2 extra wide receivers too, something called a Dennis Houston and a Cavante Turpin, along with Noah Brown and Simi Vayoko. Jalen Tolbert officially listed as a starter. Michael Gallup will not open the season on the pup.
Good for him.
So
for him.
those 3 are starting side by side. Gallup is not expected to be ready for week 1, but again, will not start the season on the pup. So him, a lot like Chris Godwin, expected to not miss the first 4 weeks.
Those are right now, as you said, no kicker, no
And-
lawn snapper,
And no backup quarterbacks.
no backup quarterbacks.
It's gonna be like Madden. You're on 20-yard line. You're going for it.
They're doing fantasy football right. They're waiting to the last second to pick up a quarterback.
Yeah, they also dropped their whole defense, and at the last second, they're going to go sign one.
It might be better than what they were able to do last year. So who knows?
Oh, man. So, yeah, Tolbert, Lamb, Gallup, that's a good wide receiver core when they're
Very
healthy.
nice.
So, Noah Brown stays on this roster still. Simi Fioka somehow makes it. So, I'd imagine that you're going to see some maneuvering from Dallas as it goes. As mentioned, Brett Maher, who is expected to be their kicker, and both expected, Will Greer and Cooper Rush, who are battling for the backup quarterback spot, did both get signed to the practice squad. So there's some maneuvering going on here with Dallas. Something's going to happen. You don't cut your kickers and your backup quarterbacks.
They just want to go for it in every single.
Yeah.
I mean they kept their punter, right?
But they keep their punter.
They keep their punter, so
The center will just snap it to him.
you got that to it. So they'll only go for it on their side of the field. Like that's
2-point
on our-
conversions.
All their team, yeah. There's no extra points. There's no kickoff.
Yeah.
You're gonna use Dak Prescott. Just gonna be throwing bombs. Yikes.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
Giants
True
cut
game of Madden.
Giants cut Davis Webb. Remember when he was supposed to be a thing?
The
Oh.
fact that he was still on the Giants this whole time.
Hey, he might have came back. I think he was left at one point.
Okay.
Robert Foster also cut. So, yay, he's still a journeyman.
Things.
So Ryan Santoso has also been cut twice, the kicker. That says Bailey Gaither also cut twice. So
Huh.
Santoso is on both the Jags and the Giants cut list.
Perfect.
Davis Webb does hang around in the practice squad for the Giants. As far as their starters, they are now saying that Kadarius Toney is expected to be healthy. Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard listed as the other two starting wide receivers. Right now, Wandale Robinson is listed as the backup slot receiver to Sterling Shepard. Darius Slayton, David Sills, and Richie James also
Richie James.
all make this roster. So
Good for him.
there are guys here of varying levels of either we liked them or successful. So Daniel Bellinger does break camp as a starting tight end. Tanner Hudson, who's a rookie free agent, the only other tight end on this roster. So it will be Daniel Bellinger
Wow.
starting as a rookie. They kept 5 running backs, Gary Brightwell and Sandro Platz-Gummer.
Bless you.
Yeah.
I thought Deshaun Corbin was going to make it.
Matt Breida is the backup to Saquon Barkley,
Ugh.
which feels gross.
Yeah. So it's just Saquon Barkley and no one else.
Tony, I guess.
Like, even Kenny Galladay irritates me because it's like, I was all excited to get him like this offseason. I'm like, oh man, he's going way too cheap, 11th, 12th, 13th round.
And then he
And just
wasn't.
watching him play, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
There's a reason why he's going there.
Yeah, I'm like, he doesn't want to play anymore.
No, he's donezo.
He is donezo. You're taking a flyer on the Giants. It's Kadarius Toney, and I'm not really looking at anybody else.
Nope.
Sterling Shepard deep.
I can see that too. I can see an argument to be made for him deep as kind of a forgotten veteran guy. The Giants are going to be a team where something's going to emerge that we aren't expecting. David Sills.
Maybe.
Philadelphia Eagles cut Carson Strong. So I'm assuming he's going to go. He's the one that goes through the practice squad over Reed Sinnett. We'll see here in a minute. Deion Kane, former Clemson wide receiver, also cut. And former Packers tight end Richard Rodgers.
Richard Rodgers.
Also cut here. So for their practice squad, it is actually Reed Sinnett that makes it through. Carson Strong is not, at least as far as we know, on a roster.
Wow. Remember
this
when
draft.
people were like, Carson Strong should be a first-round pick?
I remember when I was
Oh,
I remember when I watched, I'm like, wow, Carson Strong is really bad.
Yeah, he's fucking terrible.
Quez Watkins listed over Zach Pascal as the third starting wide receiver. They only kept 4.
Well, they just traded Rager, so
They'll sign somebody. They did trade Rager. He's a Viking now. So, you want to talk about that at all? Or
Oh my
is it
God, that
throwaway?
trade is
I was
hilarious.
finally correct. Right now.
You were
He
finally
wasn't gonna get
correct.
traded.
It took me 2 years to get there, but the Vikings did take Rager.
But like, you look at all these trades and look at what Amari Cooper got traded for. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, because
it's freaking ridiculous.
Dallas did not expect, I guess, the wide receiver market to blow up the way they did.
Apparently
Because his
not.
contract was fine now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That was the only reason he got moved was because of the contract.
And now it's a deal.
freaking nuts.
Now it's a fucking deal.
It's a steal.
Steal.
Steal. Yeah, other than that, nothing on the Eagles. So exactly what you'd expect. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Miles Sanders. Boston Scott was re-signed after New
Yay.
Orleans cut him. So Commanders, Jarrett Patterson's cut. He had some fun things happen last year. Kendall Blanton was cut from there and the Rams. Sammy Reyes also cut. Remember him? I tried to make him a thing last year.
because we're like, which one do you want to try to make a thing for fun?
We
We'll
did.
go Sammy Reyes.
That's
He looks
exactly
more athletic.
exactly
He
what I
looks more
did. It was more athletic.
That was the only reason why.
It was
Great.
totally the wrong answer, but he was more athletic.
Love it.
I like
That's
it.
what makes it fun, though.
Jarrett Patterson's a notable cut there, as is Alex Erickson. Brian Robinson, prayers up to him.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
He
Shot
made the 53-man roster, too. They didn't put him on IR.
No, they did
That's
not put him
good.
on IR. Shot twice, once in the glute, once in the lower leg. No word on damage or anything, but by all accounts, it seems to be as good as you could hope for. They actually said he could play at some point this season, which would be incredible to see and to watch. Look, because we talk fantasy football, Antonio Gibson will break camp in the same role he had last year, with J.D. McKissick reprising that same role as well. Jonathan Williams was picked up from the Giants. They haven't put Brian Robinson on IR. They haven't put him. So, as of right now, that says that they don't expect him to be out for 4 weeks because they could put him on IR and designate him to return. They have not done that yet. So, we'll see how the recovery goes. Right now, it is Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, Jonathan Williams, the active, if you will, players there. John Dotson is listed as the starter opposite Terry McLaurin with Curtis Samuel. Diami Brown, Cam Sims, Dax Milne serve as depth here. And Logan Thomas, activated from the pup, should reprise his role as actually, he was a tight end 2 years ago. So,
yeah,
that's not nothing. Yeah. And it's not like Carson Wentz hasn't made tight ends productive before.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is definitely worth putting on your watch list. Don't pick him up, but put him on someone that you're watching as the season goes on.
Yeah, it won't be drafted because of recency bias. So, definitely watch list him. And then Sam Howell did make the final roster. So,
He's coming after Carson Wentz, man.
he should be, yeah.
Andy Key's still ahead of him on the depth chart, but
For now.
yeah. Well, we know how bad both of them are. So
It's true. The Bears. They cut Nathan Peterman. He's a practice squad guy. They cut Darrington Evans. He's a practice squad guy. And then Isaiah Coulter, Daz Newsome, Kevin Shaw, Nisimba Webster, James O'Shaughnessy, also cut by them. So, definitely some cut downs here. Nobody else really worth noting. What this does mean is that the Bears are the island of wayward toys at wide receiver opposite Darnell Mooney. That means that N'Keal Harry, Dante Pettis, Velus Jones, and Equanimous St. Brown and Byron Pringle all made this final roster.
Interesting roster there.
Byron Pringle is currently listed as the starting slot wide receiver with ESB as the other outside receiver.
Velus must just be playing special teams.
For right now, it's exactly what you want out of your third round pick.
Yeah. Did we lose Dan?
Yeah, he'll be back. I'm not worried about it. Tristan Ebner makes it as the third running back. I know some corners that really like him. And Ryan Griffin will be the backup tight end to Cole Kmet, who's another late round throw that you can make. They did keep two fullbacks, interestingly enough. They also picked up former first round pick Alex Leatherwood, as this offensive line will take some time to solidify. So Bears very much a work in progress. Justin Fields had a fantastic preseason, so you hope he can keep it up. There are definitely some options at wide receiver. These are not no-name guys on this roster, but it is the island of lost toys.
They're more just depth pieces than anything.
Well, I mean, maybe, right? They're depth pieces that somebody's going to be something other than Darnell Mooney. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Can't
no real separation between Pringle, ESB, Harry, Pettis, Velus Jones. So, somebody else is going to be something.
this is where I wanted Tyler Johnston to go.
Yeah, because he would have immediately been a clear 2.
Mm-hmm.
And as it is,
It would have been a perfect fit because they're a team that's clearly not trying to win. So
Yeah.
depends where, because he made it. Depends where the waiver. It depends where they were waiver wise. I think maybe Houston at the higher waiver claim.
Bears used their waiver claim on Alex Leatherwood,
Oh, that's right.
former
I mean,
first round draft pick,
offensive line.
former first round
it-
lineman. So
It's the right move. Lineman over wide receiver, regardless of talent. So for the most part,
for the Lions, David Blah,
wow, David Blau.
and Tim Boyle both cut. Justin,
TB12.
what's that? TB12, Tim Boyle.
12.
Justin Jackson cut. Trinity Benson cut. Special Agent Tom Kennedy cut.
He's
Special
back.
agent.
He signed. He's on the practice
Squad. Good.
Yeah.
Devin Funches. Tight
Bunches of Funches.
Tight end Devin Funches.
Tight end Devin Funches.
Special Agent Tom Kennedy did get to the practice squad, as did show favorite Justin Jackson. And Captain Dan Skipper.
What?
Captain
Dan
Dan
Skipper.
Skipper.
Dan Skipper's a name.
Yeah, he's an offensive tackle, apparently.
New favorite player. God damn it, Dan Skipper.
Captain Dan Skipper.
Captain Dan Skipper
Captain of the
of the Dark
Practice
Horse
squad.
ship.
yeah.
I feel like our most fun names the last 2 seasons have come from the Lions practice squad.
Special Agent Tom Kennedy.
And Captain Dan Skipper.
Captain Dan Skipper.
Gotta be good at something.
They're good at being dark horses.
The starting wide receivers are exactly what you'd expect. Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds, DJ Chark. Hawkinson, obviously, starting tight end. Craig Reynolds made it as the third running back. The backup here is Nate Sudfeld, the Jared Goff.
Oof.
I know that's not even like really an improvement over the other two that they cut. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? What are they thinking?
Right. Austin Seibert will be kicking balls.
Kicking the balls.
Green Bay Packers, former LSU quarterback Danny Etling amongst their cuts, as is Dexter Williams, Patrick Taylor, Travis Fulgham. He's also been cut twice, apparently. Second time I've seen his name.
Love it.
Malik Taylor with an asterisk. I think does that mean injury designation? Probably.
Possibly.
So, Jawan Winfrey, Elise Mack. Yeah, big list.
Oof.
Big list. Danny Etling, Goodson, Taylor, Fulgham, all through to their practice squad. And for Green Bay, not a lot surprising here. Watson, Doubs serve as depth right now behind Cobb, Watkins, and Lazard. They'll eventually take over, I think, from Watkins and Lazard, either through injury or from Watkins and Cobb, either through injuries or otherwise. Amari Rodgers did hang around. Running back wise, there are only 2 right now. They only have 2 freaking running backs on this roster.
That one blew my mind there.
That's a little surprising too. Most teams carry
Yeah.
3 or more. AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, the only 2 backs on the roster.
Especially when they want to be more run
Heavy.
focus. Yeah.
Yeah, you figured that they would have maybe a pass catching guy that can play special teams.
That's what you thought. That's what I thought Tyler Goodson was going to be.
Well, that's what Kylan Hill was supposed to be, and then he got hurt. So
That too.
anyway, be interesting to see what they do with the running back position for depth there. But other than that, they're pretty chalk. Robert Tonyan activated from the pup, so he'll be their tight end. Also with the flyer in the same way that Logan Thomas was. Good year the last year he played. And then hurt. For the Vikings, Sean Mannion, Kellen Mond both cut. Other than that, Albert Wilson also cut. And punter Jordan Berry, former Steelers punter, also cut. Nobody of note making it through to the practice squad, at least from a skill position perspective. Is Adam Thielen being undervalued on this offense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is KJ Osborne. You want both. You
I
just want a piece of this offense.
completely agree.
Absolutely.
They're going to throw a lot, and Adam Thielen was on pace for a monster season before he got hurt last year. And all of a sudden, they're going to pass more, and people are out on him. I don't get it.
They're gonna not only pass more, but better play caller and a better scheme. Like it's set up perfectly for all
Yep.
these guys to smash.
Back up to Irv Smith Jr. is something called Johnny Munt, former Rams tight end. Worth noting because Irv Smith has not necessarily been healthy. We mentioned Jalen Rager's trade earlier. Kene Wanwu is made the roster as the third back. This is the type of player you expect as a third running back. The dude's a explosive guy who can hit some home runs and a special teams ace. Yeah,
He scored a touchdown last year in special teams.
he did. He's explosive.
I'm a little sad about Smith-Marset.
Yeah.
Smith-Marset. Also good special teams guy. Also productive when he had a chance.
Yeah.
I guess you had to make room for Tyler or for Jalen Rager though. So
You did.
Yeah.
For the Falcons, Quadri Olson is cut. Geronimo Allison cut. So more tears from them. That Keyshawn Johnson, the other Keyshawn Johnson, cut. Auden Tate, cut. And Anthony Ferkser. So a lot of names cut down there. The Falcons are going to have a struggle bus of a season, I think is what most of us are expecting. Drake London obviously will break his starter. He will start with Brian Edwards and Olamide Zaccheaus. So Edwards is a change of scenery guy to at least kind of keep an eye on. Demir Bird makes that roster as depth. Desmond Ritter will back up Marcus Mariota. As expected, he had a good camp. And right now, the depth chart for running back is Cordero Patterson, Damian Williams, Tyler Algier. Expect Algier to cut in and as the season goes on.
Yep. I agree.
Patterson will be more involved as a receiver and as a receiver. As a receiver and a receiver. And Damian Williams is definitely destined for more depth. So take that with a grain of salt. Algier will be fine. I think we're learning there weren't a lot of surprise cuts. Panthers, Charleston Rambo, who just has a cool name. Brandon Zylstra, who got a little bit of run. Ryan Izzo also cut. We mentioned that they traded for Laviska Shenault. Practice squad wise, Jacob Eason made it through to their practice squad, so he's still hanging around the league. Just another fun name for us, for me. Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, DJ Moore break as the starters. I'd imagine that Laviska Shenault's going to rotate in there and eventually overtake one of those, but Marshall will get another shot. This is a guy that is worth the flyer, I think. I mean, he had big hype, big expectations last year, didn't live up to them, but, you know, recency bias. Not everybody adapts as a rookie. We know that.
Yep.
And Deonta Foreman is listed as the backup to Christian McCaffrey. Two completely different types of running back.
Completely.
Yeah, right.
Completely.
But we do know that if Foreman gets a shot, he can be very productive.
That is true.
We have seen that now at this point repeatedly. So Eddie Pinero will be kicking balls for them.
And Zane Gonzalez is out for the year.
Yep. Bad week for kicker injuries, by the way.
Apparently so.
New Orleans Saints, they have cut Ian Book, KJ Costello, Divine Zigbo again. He joins former Bears first-round pick Kevin White is cut. So this means that in addition to a lot of that, I mean, their wide receiver core all of a sudden looks pretty formidable with Olave, Jarvis Landry, and a healthy Michael Thomas. And allegedly healthy
not
Michael
too
Thomas.
Shabby. Not too
It's
shabby.
not too shabby. Landry is listed in the slot with Olave and Thomas outside. So Traquan Smith does make the team and survive, as does Marquez Callaway. Taysom Hill is the backup to Adam Troutman. And Andy Dalton will back up Jameis Winston. And then the four running backs, you have Alvin Kamara and then three between the tackles guys.
Makes sense. Apparently.
So, and Tony Jones Jr. back with the Saints. So the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Right.
Absolutely.
Tyler Johnson was the only one of note cut from the Tampa Bay Bucks. So let's go. Actually, I want to see who made it through and is listed as their starting tight end.
Probably Brate, I guess.
Yeah, I say it just came in break.
It is Cameron Brate. Kyle Rudolph was listed behind him with K. Dot in third. Chris Godwin, we'll see what we get out of him week 1. We know he's coming off the ACL tear. It's always been reported that he will be ready, so I expect he will play. The question is how much. Will he be limited at all? We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that and watching that. Scotty Miller did make the final roster, as did Rashad Perriman and Julio Jones, so they have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position. Right now, Russell Gage is listed ahead of Julio Jones on the depth chart.
That's also not really a big surprise.
As it should be.
Yeah, a little backwards. Rashad White and Keyshawn Vaughn and Giovanni Bernard all make it as running backs too. So, Bucks are just deep all around.
Apparently, yeah. Besides the offensive line, because they can't keep that shit fucking clean.
No, they cannot.
My God.
Can't keep it healthy, can they?
No.
Not at all.
Trace McSorley, Ronnie Rivers, Marcel Aitman. Marcel Aitman's on here twice too. Or no, wait, that was Auden Tate. Same person.
Auden Tate.
Same person.
I was saying same difference. They've probably
Well
never
cut.
been in the same room together either.
No, they probably haven't been. McSorley does get through to the practice squad. I want to look at the Arizona Cardinals here for a second, though. You've got, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins starting with the suspension. Does all of that work go to Marquise Brown, or do we see A.J. Green show he has a little bit left, or does Rondale Moore start to break out? He is listed as the other starter to start the season.
I like both. It all can go to Brown. Green has been a shell of itself.
I was say go to
if you're a
Zach
more
Ertz.
truther, well, that too, Zach.
Well, some of it will go to Zach Ertz. Yes, we saw that last season. There's going to be somebody else. And I think if you're a more truther, you take the flyer, and if anything, you watch list him too, because he's not going to be drafted in most leagues. So watch list that and look at his targets in week 1.
Yep.
Even if it
Yeah,
doesn't
keep an eye
pan
on it.
out, look at his targets, look at how they try to get him involved. Benjamin is listed as the RB3 after starting throughout most of camp. Keontae Ingram does make the final roster,
Good.
along with Darrell Williams. So James Conner will start. As expected, but there will be somebody else out of that running back group, and I'm expecting Benjamin to be the early flyer you want to take. I've got him in several places just because of how he was getting ran in preseason.
Absolutely.
For the Los Angeles Rams, nothing. Just
Nothing.
absolutely nothing to discuss there. Their actual depth chart has Cam Akers as starter, as it should. Kyron Williams does make the final roster, as does Jake Funk for depth.
Hey.
They kept 3 quarterbacks, so Bryce Perkins also makes this final roster. He was, I think, on their practice squad the last couple of years.
Yeah,
He was
he
a
was-
preseason darling.
he
yeah.
was.
He should be. He was a deep draft cut for me a couple of years back. Was Bryce Perkins. So happy to see him hanging around with the same team and actually breaking camp. It's a good one. Van Jefferson listed as the 3rd starter here, also as expected. Look, where the Rams failed this season, off season, just to keep it blunt, they learned nothing from Odell Beckham getting hurt, and they did nothing to address their wide receiver depth. They pretty much replaced Robert Woods for Allen Robinson and did nothing to address the depth here. So that's
Van
definitely worth
Jefferson.
noting.
Yes.
Who showed that he couldn't carry the jock of those other guys.
No, not even close.
For the 49ers, we knew about Sudfeld getting cut. They did also cut Trey Sermon, last year's 3rd-round pick,
And Hasty.
and
Who-
Jermichael Hasty. So
Yeah.
Jeff Wilson and Tyrion Davis-Price running here. Keyshawn Johnson gets his 2nd cut listed in the same division, I'm pretty sure.
Wow. The West just does not want you.
Willie Snead also cut. As is Troy Fumagalli, because he was supposed to be a thing at one point. Former Darling Tyler Croft. And Willie Snead.
Willis.
Please need.
Oh, I missed that one good season he had. Because I had him during that one good season he had.
Memories.
For San Francisco, No surprise. Jawan Jennings listed as a wide receiver 3 there, actually.
Over Danny Gray.
Over Danny Gray. It is
Interesting.
Jawan Jennings with Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Again, I wouldn't buy too much into that. Jimmy Garoppolo working on an extension to become, if it's not done already, to become the highest paid backup in the NFL. Trey Lance is officially the starter. By all accounts, he'll grow into the role. It just might take a little bit of time. And the backups to Elijah Mitchell are Jeff Wilson, Tyrion Davis-Price, and Mason Jordan is the wild card here.
Like it.
Love it.
It's okay. All right, last one. Seattle Seahawks. Ronnie Rivers finds himself on the list again. Former preseason darling Darwin Thompson. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Wasn't he traded for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, he got cut.
It's incredible.
The Eagles, man. Freaking wheeling and dealing.
Wheeling and dealing.
They get a pick for it, and the Seahawks also wheeling and dealing, I guess.
They're just trying to the Eagles are just trying to not remind us of all the field wide receivers they have.
How bad they are at drafting wide receivers.
Yeah.
Yep. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, good Jesus. Cade Johnson. Bo Melton. Cut.
No.
He did get through the practice squad, as did JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Darwin Thompson, and Sean Mannion. I guess. So first off, DK Metcalf is going like double-digit rounds now in fantasy
It's
drafts.
insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was looking at that too. I'm like, am I looking at this the same? I kept refreshing it and scrolling back down. I'm like, yeah. He's at 10:04.
It's real.
It's a real thing. I keep seeing it too. Penny Hart, who single-handedly cost Drew Lock his starting job, makes the final roster. Geno Smith will start the season over Horsecock Lock.
Horsecock.
So, ugly team. Noah Fant, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson is your tight ends.
Love it. Just so fucking delicious.
So that was a lot of talking, but that's your setup for the season now. You can't say we didn't tell you who's starting, who made final rosters, who was cut, what to do with some of your dynasty people that might have been cut, who to watch list. There's some deep early waiver cuts in there to pay attention to, like the Rondale Moores and the Tyler Johnsons of the world. New faces, new places like Sony Michel in Los Angeles that should have value at some point during the season. So little primer finally. But that's a lot, and we're going to get to a beer review here in just a second, and then we're all going to go around table here and just give you some predictions for the season. Do our best shot at giving you some predictions, some things that we like, what do we think is going to happen ahead of next week's Week 1 preview.
What's Fueling
Just kidding.
Beer Review?
It's been a long time.
Whoever wants to start.
Ryan, go ahead.
So I had Shorts Brew, Locals Light, American Lager. Good, crisp. It hits the spot. It's nothing really big to brag about. No good, nothing fruity. Just a typical lager.
All right, I had War Pigs Brewing. This is Blinding Light Show IPA, orange peel and lemon peel added to it. Light, little malt to it. Just as a basic IPA, you're gonna get that to it. Get that balance there. You get the brightness from the orange peel. You get a little bit of the tanniness from the lemon peel alongside the orange peel. It's a good old solid IPA from our friends over at Three Floyds and McKellar. War Pigs Brewing.
All right, I had a Penelope barrel pick from the St. Louis Bourbon Society and Barrel Blends. On the nose, it's all baking spices. There's shortbread, there's nutmeg, there's cinnamon, it smells like if you had a bunch of ingredients for a really good cookie just kind of laid out next to each other, That's what it smells like. Not mixed together, not baked yet, just all laid out next to each other. If you just ran the gamut of smelling it, that's kind of what I get. On the palate, there are some bright oak notes. Definitely get some light fruit there. A little bit of cherry, a little bit of orange, some underlyings of like a dusty cocoa. So it's not overly decadent. It does have a good depth of flavor. It's definitely not cloying. It's a little bit lighter, a little more oily on the mouth. So it's not like drinking a dessert whiskey or anything like that. But it does give you some fruit. It does give you some of those bright oak notes. Obviously vanilla. Some dusty cocoa, some nutmeg. It's a good mingling with really good balance. It does finish with a little bit of I don't want to say a full like peppery rye pop to it, but it's more almost like a light cinnamon or a nutmeg on the back end. Again, this is very like almost like confectionery, almost because of all the baking notes out of it and all the spicing notes out of it. It's not decadent. It's not overly sweet. I'd consider it almost confectionery. And the proof does come out a little bit. Just gives you a nice warm Kentucky hug, though. It's not harsh at all. Overall, it's a good pick. It's different than the other Penelope barrel pick that I have. And just as a general overarching statement, if you haven't tried Penelope, you find any of their stuff, those guys are doing excellent work. It doesn't matter if it's the harder to find stuff like the Architect or the Takai cast, if it's a cask, if it's a toasted barrel pick that came to your area, if it's just the barrel proof 4-grain. They're doing really, really good stuff over at Penelope. And it's definitely worth checking out if you have the opportunity to buy a bottle. I have not been disappointed by anything of theirs I've tried, and I think we're up to like 6 expressions now.
Very nice.
So
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna do a bold prediction, a sleeper, a bust, and then because everybody wants to know, a Super Bowl matchup prediction. So let's go with a bold prediction. Can be team, can be player. Ryan, we'll start with you.
My bold prediction this year is Jalen Hurts finishes as the QB1
Boom!
in fantasy football.
I mean,
Dropping the mic.
I thought maybe in fantasy basketball, but
Hey, you never know. He might.
you just clarified it for me. Thanks.
Dick move, Dan. Dick move.
Dan?
Oh man. See, I mean, my bold prediction was that Trey Lance was going to finish as a top 3 fantasy quarterback.
See, I was just the rushing quarterback's gonna have a good season.
Hey,
Should I go Justin Fields and just do the
you should.
trifecta
Justin
of
Fields goes in
this
top 5.
unheralded rushing quarterback is gonna have a really good season? Now I'm going a different route. Jerry Jeudy is gonna finish as a top 10 wide receiver.
Ooh.
Russell Wilson, look, Doug Baldwin with Russell Wilson, particularly 2015 through 2017, before injuries caught up to him. He was seeing 100 plus targets a season, had 2,000 yard seasons in there, catching a boatload of touchdowns as the same type of player. And then Tyler Lockett, who took over for him, really before last season, even last season, very quietly over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. He had 3 straight seasons of over 100 targets, over 1,000 yards, and 8 to 10 touchdowns. So Russell Wilson has a good relationship with the slot receivers who run routes well, who separate well, and everybody's leaning towards, I guess Jerry Jeudy does get love and hype and whatever else, but most of the conversation that I've heard has been around Cortland Sutton. And I do think there's merit to that because Wilson does has always hit people deep, but the reliable wide receivers with Russell Wilson throughout his career have been Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, playing out of the slot, running routes, being able to separate, and that's the type of wide receiver that Jerry Jeudy is. And if he can clean up the drops, I think that the volume is going to be there and the productivity is going to be there for him to finish as a top 10 wide receiver. Little something different, a little something you haven't heard me hype up on this show.
I like
That
it.
is something different. That is something different.
It was very good.
That's good. That's good.
All right. All right. Let's go sleeper. Who's a deep cut? We'll go 8th round ADP or later. But if you don't, just go ahead and just throw whoever out there. If you don't have ADP handy, if you already had somebody in mind.
Well, mine's KJ Osborne. All the way.
Dirty thief.
Yeah, I know. Like, he's been my guy. Like, so it's funny because you can say sleeper and go any running back who's one injury away going before the 8th, 10th round. Like, they're all, quote unquote sleepers. Rashad White. Actually, you should always draft Rashad White, but KJ Osborne for sure. We've talked a lot about them. You talked about them earlier in the show about how him and Thielen are both going at value. Osborne productive when Thielen was hurt last year throughout, and the offense should only improve, especially the scheme and the play calling should improve for Osborne to really show out. And Thielen's over 30. He's battling multiple injuries throughout the last couple of years. He's teed up in a perfect spot to finish as a back end wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside.
All right, I'm going to kind of take the softball here. It's going to be Christian Kirk. We talked about it early in the show. He's going at the 8-11. We've talked about it all season. The ADP has not come up yet. They showed in preseason that they're going to target and utilize the shit out of him. And they're going to be playing from behind. They don't have a good defense. If you expect Doug Peterson to progress this offense, Trevor Lawrence to take the next step as a generational quarterback that everybody just a year ago thought he was, Christian Kirk is going to be the benefactor of that. And there's absolutely no reason he should be being drafted after Cordero Patterson or a Devonta Smith who's a 2 or a Brandon Ayuk who is not going to be in a throw-happy offense. He should be up there a little bit higher by a couple rounds. And so, I think Christian Kirk absolutely has high-end 2, if not low-end 1, wide receiver upside with the volume that he's going to see. Look, this isn't saying Christian Kirk's an elite wide receiver, even though he was paid like one. This is saying he's in an offense that he's going to have to throw the football, and he's the best option they have, and he is going to benefit from that.
And the team has to justify, giving him that type of contract, especially front loading that contract. He is absolutely in a position to see over 130 targets this year.
Mm-hmm. Ryan?
My big sleeper is I'm going tight end on this one. I'm going David Njoku.
Ooh.
Just because I see him more as the number 2 option in Cleveland this year behind Amari Cooper. And the way that Jacoby Brissett was kind of playing the field was he was actually targeting David Njoku quite a bit. And another way to look at it too is there's no true definitive number 2 target there. That's how I look at it as. And I've been reading Coop Fiasco. He does fantasy.
Oh, yeah. No, we know Coop.
Yeah, he does a tight end thing, like a series. I was reading it this summer. And basically he was saying if you're the number 2 target, that is someone you kind of want to target. So, how we're going after the Travis Kelce's, the Kyle Pitts, and Mark Andrews. They're the number 2 target on their offense. David Njoku is also going to be the number 2 target on his offense, and he's going at 1404 right now. So he's a late round target tight end that I like to get if I don't get one of those top 3.
Fair enough. All right. Bust, Ryan. I guess I'll go ahead and start this one off. I don't know. You know what?
Did we do bust first 4 rounds?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Just first 4 rounds. I'm kind of looking at who I don't like, and I just got to figure out. See, I want to say Derrick Henry, but even if he has a bad season, I don't think he's going to full on bust necessarily. I just think it's going to be a lot less than what people expect him to be.
It's almost like players who you think, who would you fade? Fade pretty hard. More so than just flat out bust. I think Derrick Henry can definitely bust. I think, given his ADP.
Yeah, absolutely. I think given his ADP, exactly. He absolutely can. And that's, I'm going to go ahead and make the case for it because I haven't a lot. And this is probably the boldest take you're going to get out of me is that Derrick Henry is going to disappoint. He's not going to be an elite top 4 running back, I don't think. And yes, it's thin. Every year there seems to be somebody that emerges with this awesome season, kind of out of nowhere. That we haven't seen the same top 3 running backs in fantasy for quite some time in back-to-back years. But Derrick Henry being a bigger guy, coming back off the foot injury, and coming back to a worse offense with the loss of A.J. Brown, I think they're going to be able to stack the box against him a little bit more, at least until Treylon Burks comes along. You got old-ass Robert Woods coming off an injury. On the outside, Kyle Phillips, I want to like him, but I don't think there's enough volume there. It's a run-first team that all of a sudden doesn't have this weapon on the outside in A.J. Brown that you have to worry about, or even Julio Jones, for that matter, on the other side. And I think that or Corey Davis the year before, Westbrook Ikeen is a big drop-off from those two. I think that the change in the offense coming back from injury and the wear and tear, not the wear on the tires, because as Alex points out, running backs don't have tires. Is going to put him more pedestrian. And pedestrian for Derrick Henry is Nick Chubb levels, right? You're talking a half round difference, but it's not elite. So that's kind of, I'm framing the bust as more of a fade. But I think you have to fade Derrick Henry off of that elite tier, and I have been pretty consistently throughout draft season.
Absolutely. Ryan, who's yours? I'll go last.
All right, my biggest one is, and I've been off him ever since he re-signed, and that is Javonte Williams. When Melvin Gordon re-signed, I was all off him, and yeah, okay, so you could say, Javonte Williams is going to take that next step up, but last year it was still 50-50. There's no guarantee that the split is still not going to be there. There's still a split. So taking Javonte Williams at, he's going right now 208, I feel like you're drafting him at his ceiling, hoping that something happens to Melvin Gordon, or Melvin Gordon somehow just takes that step back and isn't the running back that we all still hope he is. So based on just draft capital alone, it's Javonte Williams for me. I won't draft him in round 2 at all anywhere. Not even round 3. I wouldn't mind. I would take him maybe round 4 at the earliest.
Yeah, it's tough to buy into a running back who saw his timeshare come back, and there's been no reports of change at all. There was that one day, right? That one day I was like, he's going to be 70-30.
And then it was immediately debunked.
And then someone counted the snaps, and it was like 55-45.
It was Ben Albright. It was Ben Albright.
Yeah. I fully expect Javonte to keep kind of etching his way through, but this is a very, very difficult division. Melvin Gordon has been a very reliable running back, especially for that team since last year. It's Javonte in Dynasty, yes. Javonte in redraft, based on what Ryan said his ADP is, hard fade. Mine is let's make it 3 for 3 running backs.
Okay.
David Montgomery.
That's a good call.
I look at him too.
Yeah.
He's going at the 403 RB, I think 15, which when you say it like that feels a little bit better. RB 20. So again, sounds better, but still in that early 4th round. You have the offense completely is in shambles. They're building on for next year. You have a threat to kill Herbert. You have Justin Fields year 2 figures to take more from the rushing game.
Yeah, you have a rushing quarterback, and that's the.
And Montgomery is also in the final year of his deal. There's a new coaching staff, and a new regime in the office. There is no allegiance or ties to Montgomery. Be buying the Josh Jacobs still, who's in a similar situation because the offense figures to be productive. Have to be if they want to keep up in the West. The NFC North is not the AFC West. The Bears are not
the Bears aren't trying to keep up.
No.
Trying to keep down.
Would not be shocked at all if Khalil Herbert is the starter by the later point of the season. Montgomery is just flat out replaced. And the Bears have nothing else to play for, which we all expect to happen. And Montgomery, who I think Hopper would agree, and Ryan, you may agree as well, will not be on this team next year. There's virtually no reason to see what he has when you can look at Khalil Herbert's and the 6th round scat back you just drafted as well. So Nope, no. I'm trying to trade him in Dynasty, the spots I have him in, and I have hard. He's not even on my list. I don't want to see anything about him.
Yeah,
It's a massive red flag.
it's hard to fade an RB20 in that area because everybody there has red flags, but I don't disagree with the narrative around that. Look, we've seen plenty of times. Ask Miles Sanders how running back value fades when you end up with a rushing quarterback there. A big guy that can work goal line, that can just take off on third down when you're trying to pass, that doesn't have to check down because he can pick up more yardage with his legs than you can in the check down. That's where you get into some trouble there. And that we've seen that time and time again just hurt running backs. We may even see it in San Francisco with Trey Lance, where it hurts a guy like Elijah Mitchell. You're absolutely right. The narrative around Montgomery this season has not been quite as bad as Antonio Gibson's narrative, but it's probably the second worst as far as how the new regime feels about him versus Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert has been productive. Khalil Herbert could also not drafted by this regime, but could cut into Montgomery's workload. You could see more of a two-headed attack there. I don't have a good read on this regime and what they're doing. I don't agree with a lot of the free agency decisions, but it does look like they're stacking cash for next year to make a run at some things, as well as having high draft picks. And there is the devil's advocate argument that because he's in the last year of his deal, they run him into the ground. Because it's somebody else's problem next year. We've seen that happen too, but it doesn't sound like that's the narrative coming out.
I would be more confident in that if the Bears were going to be more competitive this year. Like there's not even a there's not even a benefit to run them into the ground when you should start seeing what your younger players,
unless
the guys you want to have in the future a Khalil Herbert.
Unless Fields takes a massive step and can elevate this team from the depths of despair.
He's got to go Mahomes. I love Fields. It's hard.
There was an NFL Network comparison about in the preseason between him and Patrick Mahomes that I laughed at, but yeah.
Of course there was. Les Mooney is the second comment of Jerry Rice. I don't foresee that one happening.
Well, you got your Tyreek Hill and your Travis Kelce and Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, right?
Yeah, that's right. Bargain bin Chiefs.
It's a great value Chiefs offense.
Right. It's your old country buffet right there.
All right. Super Bowl matchup, Ryan.
Oh man, I forgot about that one. I was looking at the other players on the list. My Super Bowl matchup, I have Chiefs and 49ers.
Rematch.
Yeah.
Trey Lance takes him to the Super Bowl.
Right?
He's the biggest hitter on the show. Trey Lance to the Super Bowl.
Well, I never said Trey Lance to the Super Bowl. Could be
it's not Jimmy G because he's had 3 chances, hasn't been able to get there.
Had 4 times the charm.
Trey Lance takes him to the Super Bowl. You heard it here first, folks.
Dan?
Eagles, Chargers.
Eagles, Chargers.
The Eagles moves they keep making, every single move they make somehow just keeps getting better and better. The defense might be as deep as both the Chargers and Bills. The NFC is one of the easiest of the two conferences
it
to get
is.
to, and it feels extremely light compared to years past. And good luck predicting the AFC. Good luck.
The AFC was hard.
No, just in general. Good luck picking somebody out of there because it's all home field advantage and luck. Winning the coin flip, I guess, twice. I don't know, but I like the Eagles.
You have the Chargers finishing first in the AFC West, then?
I have the Chargers finishing first.
We had a lot of debate about the AFC West over dinner the other night at a fantasy draft. There are a lot of people that like the Raiders.
That's fine.
Because of what the Chiefs lost, what the Raiders added. There's a lot of people, obviously, that think Broncos. That's going to be a fun conference, is what it comes down to.
It's going to be a very worn-down conference. But
the AFC West and the top 3 and 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC West are gonna put on shows. And then, we're blessed with the Bills and Bengals, too.
Yeah.
and I guess the Cowboys maybe.
Who's yours, Hopper?
Bills. I think Josh Allen's finally going to get his.
He won't be fucked over by a coin flip.
I think he's not going to be fucked over by a coin flip. I think he's finally going to get his. And I'm really torn between the Bucs and the Rams coming out of the NFC. The Bucs, I have some serious concerns about that O-line, despite the depth they have everywhere else. And obviously the Rams, I mentioned concerns about their wide receiver core, but I do think they're the most rounded teams in the NFC. So I'll go ahead and hang my hat on the Bucs because it's Brady.
The easiest ones, and to me, it's and not to pour salt on the Niners one. It was the Bucs and Rams, and then the moves that Philly just keeps making. Further separating themselves from Dallas. Like, Philly is a smash to win the NFC East, in my opinion. The Rams are very much a glass cannon. They've built their roster to be a glass cannon. So
I don't know. Philly and Dallas, I think, are closer than people think because Philly is very much contingent on. We like Jalen Hurts, the fantasy player. It's very much contingent on Jalen Hurts, the NFL quarterback, taking a big step forward.
Fine.
Philly's contingent on that.
Sure.
Dallas's defense has to take a big step forward too, but that's where you get crossed up. You have questions there.
Dallas's offense needs to stay healthy. We talk about where the Bucs O-line is, the Cowboys O-line is in just as much in shambles, and they're making no moves.
Well, that's also true. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yep. It is just as much in samples. They're not making moves. The Eagles could. I wouldn't be surprised if they do win the East. I just don't think it's going to be smash. I think that's probably going to be closer between them and the Cowboys. Unless Hurts the NFL quarterbacks takes a step forward. And basically what it comes down to is this. Edge in defense, obviously to the Eagles. Edge in offense, skill position players. The Eagles have more top-end talent. The Cowboys are deeper. So, and I like depth when it comes to teams that are going to make a deep run because the Eagles are an A.J. Brown injury away from being right back where they were last year.
Fair.
So, and it's not like A.J. Brown injuries are uncommon.
It's like that for really any team, though. Even with the Rams, they're an Aaron Donald injury away.
Suspension
away. A wide receiver injury, which is why I went with the Bucs because I look at them and it's like, okay, yeah, the O-line's a little lacking, but you look at every other position, they're 2 and 3 guys deep to where if you just had to go next man up, they realistically can just go next man up.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with Philly. It's just the deep of the defense. And it's just a depth that they keep accumulating.
Yeah,
plus, it's to me, it's 3 teams.
Let's take it one step further. Who's winning each division? Who do you got in the AFC East?
The Bills. Yeah.
Bills. Yeah.
Bills.
Dolphins gonna make a wild card run?
No.
I
think they'll be in contention, but I don't.
Okay. Jets gonna take a step forward at all? I think nobody's betting on the Patriots.
No,
I don't think. I think you'll get all your wild cards between the West and the North. I think New England takes a step back. I wouldn't be shocked if they finish behind the Jets.
AFC North.
Ravens
over the Bengals.
I got Bengals.
Not the Browns. That's all that matters.
It's not the Browns, and it won't be the Steelers.
Not the fucking Browns.
So you got a 2-horse race you got a 1-horse race in the AFC East. I think we can all depend on that. Miami will be fighting for a wild card. AFC North, Ravens, Bengals. That's kind of going to be the thing for a little bit. I think is going to be Ravens, Bengals.
Both teams make the playoffs. One of them obviously wins the division. The other one makes wild card.
See, Baltimore, I'm a little iffy on if they make the playoffs.
I've always been concerned about Baltimore in the playoffs. I don't think they have the right scheme or offense to get there, but they're a team that's built to win regular season games because they can just beat up on opponents. It's the way that they run their offense. It's all time of clock and just kind of just wear you down. It's a very young defense, and there's still a lot of one of the better secondaries in football.
The problem with Baltimore is going to be if you can get them playing from behind, though, not in front.
That's the question right there.
Yeah,
and it's hard to say if that's to be true. Cincinnati also looked pretty mediocre until their late season push.
They figured it out.
Yeah, well, they looked they looked a little lost against the Raiders and Titans. For some reason, they just had their number against the Chiefs, so they know how to beat the Chiefs, which is a good team to have that number against. I don't dislike the Bengals. The Bengals are the Ravens are favored, I think, but barely. I think they're almost even money with the Bengals. Both of them are the right pick. Both should make the playoffs.
AFC.
Try not to sound biased.
Yeah.
Try not to.
Yeah.
That's fine though.
AFC South.
Colts.
Yeah, I'm there too. That'll be between the Colts and the Titans, though. I think. I don't know that it's a cakewalk, but it's going to be the Colts.
Yeah,
I don't even think the Titans. I see both number one seeds from last year not making the playoffs. I guess that's the bold take.
AFC West.
Chiefs.
Chargers.
Fuck it, I'll just go Broncos.
I mean, honestly, I think the betting odds has the Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs.
Chiefs lost. I mean, Chiefs losing Tyreek, not having to answer at the running game, a bunch of wayward toys at wide receiver, and they've always kind of been built to run through just a couple people, and I think that's exposed them a little bit over the years. The Broncos seem to be pretty well rounded. You bring in Russell Wilson, they were a quarterback away last year. The Broncos were. So I think they have the depth for it. And the Chargers, I love Justin Herbert. I love Keenan Allen. I love Austin Eckler. They're, again, a team that I just look at and I'm like, all right, cool. Where's your depth? Especially at the skill positions. And their secondary can never seem to stay healthy.
But they seem to keep getting all the right pieces. Like on paper, Chargers have also an extremely
have a good
well-rounded roster. Yeah.
Big
on
time.
paper, they can stay healthy, obviously, but that's for every team.
But they're already not healthy. That's the part of the show we forgot to do with injuries.
So. The turf monster always gets them every year.
It does. I'll still take them because Herbert.
Plenty of time.
It's Herbert's time too. Yeah.
We'll have plenty of time to talk injuries later. Not on this show.
No.
Because, yeah. All right, NFC. Who's taking the... Hold on, I forget which one's listed first. I don't want to go out of order. It'll confuse me. Where did I put that? There it is. No, who's taking the East?
Philly.
Yeah, I got Eagles too.
It's going to be close between them and Dallas. Dallas always seems to find a way to choke, so I'll go Philly. I just really argued that to point out that I don't think it was going to be a stomping, but I do think they'll win it.
Yeah.
NFC North.
Vikings.
Probably the Vikings.
Wow, no one picked the Packers. That's surprising.
Nope. I don't have them making the playoffs. I have the Lions finishing ahead of them.
I don't think Rodgers can.
7th seed.
I don't think Rodgers can pull this rabbit out of his hat with how much they've hung him out to dry on offense.
And I don't think he's Brady. I don't think he's just some guy that's going to continue to play at a high level for this long. He just doesn't seem to have the passion. Like, I don't think, which is a dumb take to make anyways, but it's just, I'm not there with them on it.
Do you see him as an 8-win team then?
They'll be a 9-8.
You think 9-8?
I think so, yeah. Because it's not like they have this lockdown defense to go with it either. I mean,
I do love their defense. I just don't think their offense is going to be good enough to score enough points in these games.
I didn't say the defense was bad. I said it wasn't elite.
Well, I think they have a top 5 defense. At least it's tough. The losses of Darius Smith is tough, but
defense and running the football for Green Bay. Nah, I like Minnesota's.
No, that's boring.
Minnesota's game this year fits the modern NFL a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep.
NFC South.
The Falcons.
Yeah.
It's the Bucs.
It's the Bucs. Hey, Panthers. My might push for that 7th seed too. I do
I
believe
think
in
the
it.
Saints probably have a
The
good
Saints
enough
as
roster
well.
at this point to be in it too. I don't trust Dennis Allen as a coach, but man, they're better on paper than you think that they are.
I feel the same way about the Panthers. Like the NFC South, it's the coaches. It's Dennis Allen and Matt Rule. We just
Yeah, it's the coaches we don't
don't
trust.
fucking like them. Like
Well, and don't forget, like while we generally trust Byron Leftwich, he's a rookie head coach.
it's Wait, is it him there? I thought it was Todd Bowles with Tampa.
I think Bowles is the head coach. Leftwich is the OC. Pardon me. Either way.
Yes,
Yeah, it's Bowles. Leftwich is the OC.
but either way, and Bowles
Isn't a rookie. Bowles
But we
did
know
very,
it's the
very good with
Bucs.
the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we know the Bucks are going to win that division. At least
The
if Brady,
Bucs-
sans a Brady injury, they're winning that division.
Yeah, they are. All right. NFC West.
49ers.
It's still the Rams.
The Rams are they're very top heavy, but it's still the Rams.
The Glance Cannon. Losing, well, I guess we'll see if losing their OC does anything to the offense, but
It hasn't the last however many
it
years.
has exactly.
And the Niners also lost their OC,
Yeah.
but Shanahan runs it. It's exactly the
So-
same thing. Losing the OC on either of those teams doesn't matter because the OC is the head coach.
What if they lose Aaron Donald for that whole helmet incident?
I don't think
Think it's-
I've heard
They're not
nothing about
going.
it.
They're not going to.
Yeah,
You know
they're not
why?
going
Because
to.
it's practice, and the NFL doesn't police practice. They don't give a shit. So
yeah.
it's nothing's going to happen because of that whole helmet incident. And even if they did, defense is still good.
Yeah.
You can't replace Aaron Donald, sure, but defense is still good. Offense is still really good. What's going to concern me more is if they lose Allen Robinson for any period of time or Cooper Kupp for any period of time, then they're in trouble. Because they do not have wide receiver depth.
Yeah, there's nothing there. Like it didn't even, Tutu Atwell even made the active roster.
I know.
I mean,
All-
second round pick, I
That's
hope
how
so.
bad it is.
All 5'2"
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Oh, he grew. How
Yeah,
cute.
they're Rams are super last candidate, but it's hard to it's maybe the Cardinals could. I mean, they made that strong push at the beginning of the year, but it's I don't trust Cliff at all.
Well, then
Niners are the. I think Niners are the. I mean, I think at the end of the year, the Niners could also be up in that upper echelon of Trey Lance.
It's not that I don't.
75% of what
Yeah.
people think he will be.
It's not that I don't trust Cliff necessarily. It's that
I don't trust Cliff at
I
all.
know
don't think
I know
Cliff's a good
you don't
coach.
trust Cliff.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't trust Cliff. I think Cliff's fine. It's that you lost Hopkins for however long, and you brought in Marquise Brown, who's more of a deep threat than anything, and you've got a shell of AJ Green there, and Zach Ertz is looking like he might miss week 1 already with a calf injury, and Rondale Moore's unproven. So it just comes down to okay, it's not a Cliff problem. It's not a Kyler problem. It's you're lacking depth at the skill position problem.
We'll
It's
see.
the same thing I see at the Rams. It's just worse.
The Rams have done it.
Well, the Rams did it, but
The Cardinals have shown that they can do it. They can sustain it.
the Rams did
Yeah.
it. The Rams had no business doing it after Odell tore that ACL in the Super Bowl. It got ugly real quick.
Yeah, it's because Zach Taylor got fucking. He just outcoached himself. Like I don't.
We did.
The Samaje Perine over Joe Mixon thing will forever just
Haunt him.
baffle me. Just makes no fucking sense.
He outcoached himself, but the Rams should have lost that game because of a lack of wide receiver depth. Because Van Jefferson couldn't do it down the stretch, Cooper Kupp couldn't play that much hero ball, and you had nobody else. How many passes did Ben Skowronek drop in critical moments of that game?
I mean, they should have lost to the Niners. You can even go that far before the Odell injury in the Super Bowl. It took a drop interception against San Francisco. It took a drop interception on defense for San Francisco for that drive to keep going. Like it's but again, that's how the Super Bowl generally, it's very rare to see a team completely look dominant from game one, to the Super Bowl. So
That's true.
it's a very difficult thing.
It's a hard thing to do.
There's some luck. There is some luck, and there's some some things that have to roll your way during your playoff run to get you to that point. I mean, look at the Bills. The Bills should have won the fucking Super Bowl last year. They were the best team in the NFL for the entirety of that season. They would have fucking destroyed Cincinnati at home. And they wouldn't have lost that fucking lead.
That was the best game in a long time, though.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And it was, and that's our show. I wanted to get it over 2 hours just because I said earlier we hadn't done one that long in a while.
Good times.
Way to start the season with a bang.
Good times.
Indeed it is. Thank you guys for tuning in. One more time, social media manager Ryan at @RyanMiner_FFB, at Beerfield Theory, at Beerfield Hop. Beerfield Fantasy is now Beerfield. Yeah, we should change the name back. At Beerfield on Twitter and YouTube. Beerfield Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Obviously, you're listening to this somehow anyway, so I'd assume you'd figure that one out by now. And FFFaceoff.com for all of Ryan's written content, along with a bunch of other writers. They are presenting network, the Face Off Sports Network. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back sometime next week, to be determined, for a Week 1 NFL preview. See ya.
Boom. See ya.
Later.
I swear I will modify the graphic at some point to put you in there, Ryan.
It's okay.
Just takes time. I don't do anything quick.